Okay, going live soon. Welcome to Two Chicks and a Mic. We are live here on the Get Up Girl podcast. I am your host and your gal, Joanna Vargas, here alongside Salome Valdez. If it's your first time here, this is the Get Up Girl podcast, and we go live on all the video platforms and we turn it into a podcast. And then she and I have this show called Two Chicks and a Mic. This is when we just talk. It's organic. We talk about something that's going on in our lives at the moment. And Salome works with me here at JV Empire. So Salome, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to talk about something that you and I had a conversation about yesterday, a couple days ago. And it's about wanting to turn things off because they're different. So for example, if we were taught that what we had or how we are, how we be in this world is different, then we try to turn it off. We try to actually put up a wall to it. We put up a barrier. We protect ourselves because like the worst thing on the planet is to be different. The worst thing on the planet is to be wrong. We're always trying to get it right. And what if you're never ever going to have it right? What if you're never ever going to have it wrong? What if it just is a choice? And I heard this before because my entire life, I was told, go back to bed. There's nothing there. Ignore what you're feeling. All those kind of things. When now looking back at it in retrospect, I am so highly aware. I am so intuitive. I can hear other people's thoughts, feelings, and emotions. I can literally hear their thoughts. And I thought I was crazy. I thought it was weird. And then so I tried to turn it off. So the other day I had one of my coaches, she asked me, why would you want to turn it off? And I started to laugh. And light is true, false is heavy. So I started to laugh and I'm like, yeah, you're right. Why would I want to turn it off? So she said, what if you can make money from this? I don't know what that looks like yet. I don't have the awareness of it yet, but I'm asking the question, yeah, how can I make money from this rather than making myself feel crazy? And when I'm around a lot of people and it's just so much on me, what if your wrongness is your strongness? And look, it's not really a wrongness, but we're just saying that because in this reality, it is considered a wrongness. So jump in, Salome. What brought this up for you for this week when we're talking about it?
It came to my health and my body and listening to my body and not asking it questions. I didn't ask questions. So if anything, I more so got angry at went into the mode of being angry instead of really asking my body questions of what it needed. For example, so I always have stomach issues, for example, and now I started to get angry because I was like, why does this keep happening? I love my life and everything, but I'm starting to really hate the inside of my body. And I'm just asking, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Rather than really asking my body what it really needs and what it really wants. So I would just get angry at it. And that wouldn't help. That definitely would not help. That rather than really being kind to it, because we always go back and we talk about how our body is our best friend. So now would you talk like that to your best friend? Well, I always like to go back and say, would I really do that? I would really like to try to salvage that relationship, right? I would want to save that relationship. So how would I want to save that relationship with my body? And then that's when I started thinking about that too. So I'm starting to do that more. I'm definitely not the best at it right now. I am getting better at it, and it's been working. But I do want to go back to the being different thing. Because one thing that I always found myself different in was, for example, ever since I was a kid and I would watch movies, for example, and it would be a drama movie, like a really sad movie. And I watch them now and I think to myself, oh my gosh, if any kid watches this movie right now, I really don't foresee any kid really watching like the Color Purple or those old movies, right? And I was a kid, I was like 5 or 4 when I would watch these movies, and I would understand them, not completely 100%, but I felt every single emotion, and I would cry. Like like if I truly understood what this person was going through. And I always thought that was kind of weird as a kid because not other kids my age at that time never watched movies like that. They they watched other stuff. And I watched adult movies. And I completely understood the emotion, and I always cried when it was a sad moment, or when it wasn't even like an obvious sad moment, but I felt something of some kind of emotion for that. And I still do. I still do that. So I always thought that was kind of weird when I was a kid. But
Our first language is energy. That's our first language. Like every human being on this planet, 8 billion people speak energy. So even though if you go to another country and you don't speak their language, we speak energy. And so I wonder, as a young child, you just spoke energy. So you totally got it. You're like, I get this movie. I get it. Because you get the energy of it. Even if maybe you didn't have something in your life that kind of taught you those lessons up to thus far. So
mm,
our first, excuse me, our first language is energy. And I think many times we discount kids because they're kids. I hear that a lot. Oh, they're kids. They don't get it yet. They're kids. I'm like, they get it. They get energy. You don't even need to fight in front of them as parents, but kids know when you're fighting because you could fight on the other part of the planet and it doesn't matter. The kids can feel it because they could feel energy. So I think that's, really cool that. Well, next question is, did you turn it off or
no,
try
well,
to turn it off?
no. I'm talking about that. No, I never did because I didn't know I had it in the first place. I didn't know that I had. I knew that I was just different in some way. I didn't have answers or anything like that. I didn't ask them. Uh, but but like at around 8, I feel like it got stronger because I feel like then it was I allowed it to affect my body because I honestly, Joanna, when I was 8, that's when, and I didn't know at that time, but that's when I started feeling it like anxiety or depression, or whatever depression is the definition of it. uh when I was 8, my body started feeling really like grasping into it again. At that time I didn't know, and I wasn't aware of it. I just knew that I was just different, that I was, why is this happening just to me, not anyone else.
So when you were 8 and then started to get a little bit older, though, did you try to turn it off? Because even last week, when you said with your body and what it was going through, you were trying to turn it off.
Right. But yeah, and it was more about forgetting too, forgetting that I have that I'm able to choose to either or feel it or not. So yeah, I was okay. I'm gonna go to this. I was being distracted. I was definitely being distracted.
Mm.
I chose to be distracted.
And what were you distracted by?
I was choosing to be distracted with the pain that I had in my body and my stomach for other things that were happening around me.
Mm. Mm. I do want to tap on something. I'm like thinking and trying to talk at the same time, but because you were talking about what your body needs, you're like, oh, I wasn't listening to what my body needs. And so this is for me right now, what my I'm going to go through just like my lesson. And that's not really the word I'm looking for, but the lesson that I'm having with my body is that many times when my body speaks to me, a headache, I'm sick, etc., things that don't feel very well, I
Mhm.
used to automatically think that it's my body trying to tell me something. And it can be, it totally can be. And what if your body's just aware of something else?
Right. Okay, there you go. Mhm.
What if it's not really for you?
Right.
Because many times it's like, oh, I have a headache. What do I need? Do I need water? Do I need this? What if your body doesn't even require anything? What if it's just giving you awareness
Mhm.
of something else, someone else, a
Mhm.
million gazillion things? And
Mhm.
then once you're aware of it, and we do not judge it. The moment we judge the headache, the moment we judge the tummy ache, the moment we judge the illness, the sickness, then we make it wrong. So what if it's not wrong to have the headache? What if it just sucks to have the headache? And we go,
Right.
okay, what is this? Today, I was sitting on the floor on the carpet at home today, and I got up. I got up in a different way than I normally get up. So I was using my arm, and then I was trying not to use my legs. Anyway, the point is, it was not a very great way to get up because I cramped. I cramped in two places. I cramped in my arm and then in my hip. Now, I'm so grateful and appreciative to these tools because in the past, I probably would have continued through it. I probably would have pushed myself up and like Joanna pushed through it. It's fine, etc. But today, right away, I went into a question. I go, "Ooh, body, what's that?" And I just listened.
Right.
What is
Right.
the body? Huh. Okay. And then I got sit down. Okay. And I just sat there, Salome. I literally just sat there. But I so wanted to get up because I was ready to get up. And my body was like, no, just sit down. Okay. And then I started to move and I cramped again. I was like, oh, just sit there. Okay. And then I asked, okay, body, what is this? Can I shift it? If so, how can I shift it? Because it was so painful, Salome, that it almost felt like I was gonna just like, when your back gives out and then you stay there and you can't move, you literally like can't move once your body. It kind of felt like that, but for my hip. So I'm like, if I keep moving, it's gonna be where I am not paralyzed, but I can't move, like just lie here for a bit. So I just sat back down, no cramping, and I just kept asking, hey, body, what is this? What is required? Can I shift this? And Salome, I could feel when I was going into judgment of like, body, what is this? Ugh, that energy of the question. I'm like, that's not really a question. That's just a sentence with a question mark at the end. But I really got curious. I'm like, don't judge it. Because then I can go into, well, I'm getting older. I shouldn't have sat like this. All that crazy stuff. I just said, okay, what is this? And I gave myself about 5 minutes and I just sat there on the carpet. 5 minutes. And then I asked, okay, body, can I get up now? And it was like, yeah. I got up, boom, it was gone. Now, in the past, 10 years ago, I would have pushed through it. I would have said, oh, I'm low on potassium. Oh, I need water, blah, blah, blah. Now, I don't know what it is yet, Salome. Was it at that moment? Was it somebody else that I was picking up? The awareness can be a gazillion things. But the point is, right now, I know that it's not important. It's not important. What's important is that I got up and it's gone. But I would have pushed through. So the difference between need versus awareness. What does my body need, or what am I aware of? And I was aware of, I just needed to just sit there for 5 minutes.
Joanna, I have a really good example also about, because it also comes with taking on other people's stories as well. And also the story that you gave in the beginning maybe grew so much that it probably doesn't even exist anymore. But because you kept telling that story, other people made it the reality, but it's not even your reality anymore. I don't know if that makes any sense. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. So here's an example of that. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but when I was a kid, I watched The Exorcist at 4 years old. Okay. The movie The Exorcist. And ever since then, it's been like this terrifying movie where even if I would look at a picture, like if it was a picture or something or a sound of the movie or anything, it would be terrifying. I mean, it was like I was like just so scared of it for years and years. And everyone knew, if you asked somebody, what is Salome most scared of, was The Exorcist movie. Everyone knew that. Okay. And just recently, when I started just asking more questions and really exploring myself, well, let me just say that yesterday I went to go watch it in the big screen. Okay. And I wasn't scared at all. And I haven't been scared for a while, but it kind of like, because I just started asking like, okay, well, maybe I just literally said that story for a long time. And then everyone else started kind of, taking in that story. And even though in my head, I wasn't getting scared of it anymore, but other people fed into it. That's why I never got rid of it. If that makes any sense. Does that make sense? Okay. So then this conversation is helping me so much right now. So yesterday I went with my brother to go watch the movie, and I was really excited, and I watched it, and I never really closed my eyes, and I was like, if anything, Joanna, I was laughing. And I was a little embarrassed because there was a parts that would happen, and I'd be like, ha! I just laughed a little bit. And then everyone around me was like really scared. And even when I went to the restroom and tried to come back into the theater, there was a couple walking by the theater, and they're like, "Oh, I would never watch that movie. Heck no!" This guy was like, "Oh, hell no, I'll never watch that movie." And I started smiling, and I said, "Oh, this makes so much sense now." And I came in, I went in like, and I was even wearing a big old exorcist shirt and everything, and I'm like, wow, really, I know I was probably scared at first, but I told that story so many times since I was a kid, and then it wasn't even real to me anymore, but it was real to others. Does that make sense? Yeah.
And I wonder, when you were 4 and you watched it for the first time, were you picking up on everybody else's fears of the movie?
Maybe, yeah. Yeah.
And now that you're asking more questions, you're like, oh, this is not mine. It's their fear. It's not my fear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Okay. Anything else that you want to add in to this topic?
We always like to talk about something, and then we keep going. But yes, no, actually, that was something I really wanted to bring up because it just happened.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Well, if you're listening and this is new to you, or you're saying, oh, I get it, I wonder if we never really get it. What if we just keep getting it? Never get it. We like, if you change your diction to, oh, I'm getting it, but we never, ever, ever get it, right? We could be here lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes. And the most fun is getting it. We'll never really get it.
We can, Joanna and I, we can talk about this conversation again, let's just say in 2 weeks, and be a completely same topic, but completely different conversation as well, because ourselves, we're also trying to get it at the same time. But I'm also inviting everybody to listen to this episode, even if you've already listened to it, like 3 weeks from now, you've listened to it already. Go back and listen to it, because you might get something different from it.
Yeah, most of the time we'll hear a different word, we'll hear a different sentence, and you'll say, oh, I don't remember them talking about that, because we are completely different people when we read a book again, when we watch a movie again, when we listen to a song again. How many times have we heard a song 1,000 times, and I'll be like, oh, I never heard that guitar riff. I never heard it, because I'm a different person. I can hear things differently now, et cetera, et cetera. So things are always changing. So just please be aware of that, if you've got it or if you're getting it. And are you willing to make your wrongness, what people told you was different about you, what you tried to turn off and shut down, actually your strongness? What if you can actually make what makes you like completely odd? What if that can make you money? And are you willing to talk about it? Are you willing to go online and talk about this to other people? And if you're not, cool. And what else is possible for that and for you and for your life, and what you can create by being the question, by being the energy of question, being the energy of openness and willingness and curiosity, and infinite possibilities can come up. Because when we are the answer, we limit our lives, we limit our bodies, we limit possibilities, we limit everything around us when we are in the answer, as opposed to when we are the question. Not even when we ask questions, but when we be the question. It's like this energy of curiosity.
Yeah.
And it has so much energy to it. Only word I can use right now is energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody, for listening. We will see you next time on Two Chicks and a Mic here on the Get Up Girl podcast. And make sure that you